And we're back with the second half of the failure effect. Today, we're with David Madenge, a.k.a. Nameless.
Hey.
A.k.a. Monski, as his close friends know
a.k.a.
him.
Baba Gals.
Now, here is the thing, is that you have managed to craft a successful career in the music business, and this isn't easy, you know?
Yeah, it's not easy for sure.
I'm pretty sure you know all about, like, where did you start?
Okay, I think for me, where I am right now in life, every time people would say, you've crafted a successful, I would say, no, I don't feel it's successful. You know, I've always been too self-critical, right? It's now in this area of my life that I'm having a more positive outlook and say, okay, Monski, to be honest, umejaribu. You get, yeah. As much as the whole time people would say, you know, you've had, successful. I'll be like, no, I don't feel I've managed. I don't think I've done what I could have done and stuff like that. But now when I look back, I'm like, yo, this is a career first that it's like a jungle. Okay, it's like literally we're urban pop pioneers. We didn't really like have a blueprint. There were no strong mentors who can be able to tell you this is how it is, this is the record label, this is how you set it up. So you're doing things, you're all learning from each other and making mistakes and not even knowing it's a mistake until much later, like, oh man, I should have known this and stuff like that. So in retrospect, I can be like, wow, there are other skill sets that I realize are very important for this kind of career. You see, I studied architecture, and architecture has some form of structure. Go here, study this, do this, come out, spend 2 years, do a professional exam, and charge this, go to this association. Everything is literally set for you. Right. So you just have to use your skill. And this one now, nothing really is really set for you. You know, there's a bit of structure, but it was very young. So, and then you start realizing you have to share a lot of your work to the public. Not easy. Because anything you've created, you're emotional about. You're emotionally connected to. Ni kama mtoto wako. So it's like your children being put there and being dissed. It's painful, man. You are a writer, you understand all those things. When you put your heart out and then some guy just comes and just says something and you're like, So you don't even know that there's a mental health thing you're about to have to deal with. You don't even know that you're going to have to learn how to read the market well. You're not just creating music, you're going to learn how to read feedback. You're a full organization without you knowing. Right. You have to have, without you knowing, you within yourself have to have a research and development department, and you don't know that.
So one-man show.
You're not even aware that, my friend. You're going to have a human resource department where you literally check yourself and how you're doing. You have to know how to negotiate before you even understand what your value is. People don't know their value. They don't know whether they're overcharging or undercharging. You can't tell. Because it's not a salary that you come and you're told, we'll pay you this because this is the standard fee. There are no standard fees in entertainment. So my friend, it is learning on the job, failing, mistaking, and it's even worse when you're a pioneer because you have to make the mistakes for other people to now learn from. Yes. So even when we talk with my fellow like pioneers who we started off, we have to reaffirm to each other like, bro, be proud of your mistakes. Be proud of your failures because it's from that others will build from. And there's no way you could have succeeded in everything right. You had to take risks, you had to fail, you had to go through your downs. So there are moments you find your shine just dims. And you're wondering, why is it? I mean, this light has dimmed, man.
What's happening?
What did I do wrong? I'm just doing what I was doing. Till you realize it has to dim. It's not your fault. The light has to dim. And it has to move to another person. So yeah, those were kind of challenges.
Okay, so when you started out, after Neto convinced you to go onto a stage and then you called Capital FM and then Megarider became a hit, did you emerge into the market like on a dip or on a high? What were the early years like?
I feel like the first 2 years before I got that Megarider break, it was more of us just going to places and begging them for us to perform. They're like, who are you guys? Sour. Why are you here? Okay, sour. Like we were begging to be on. I didn't want to do it anyway. Netro is always to push me. I'm like, again, But when I got the break, when I won that competition, and I recorded the song with guidance from Ted Josiah, shout out to Ted Josiah. I would say it was my first major mentor musically. He kind of like gave me some tips on getting a hook and my storytelling and gave me a really good beat. So then the song really just hit.
Yeah.
And it was more of a radio song, but I started getting calls.
Yeah.
With just one song. Hey, come perform here. So I had to quickly think, I need a stage act. I need a vibe. So I got 2 dancers. I made sure it's something to watch and be like, that was nice and different. And I would really look at the audience and see what worked, what didn't work. How should I change and all that? So on that aspect, I was lucky that Nameless started with, Megarider, a so-called hit song. But then I got into a career where I realized, okay, well, that doesn't mean now everything is fine.
Yeah.
I remember I wasn't an A-list artist in the record label. Ted Josiah's record label. At that time, there was Giddy Giddy Maji Maji and Darling P and Stu. So those were the main acts. So you're a B-list artist. So probably being a B-list artist, there's not really much time for you.
Yeah.
And the audience is asking, we want more from you, and you cannot get in time from the producer because he also has a limited time and a brain. So he has to focus on where he knows, here I'm making money. So that also kind of hit me a bit like, wow, like I'm not getting time. So over time I realized, okay, maybe I'm not like a priority here. And then I moved to Ogopa DJs.
Right.
And that's where I felt that now magic really happened.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Because obviously moving to Ogopa was the game changer for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What was it that drove you? Was it, did they call you? Did you have a feeling, let me go and experiment?
I was interested in them. Now I'm looking back, I'm like, I really was doing my research.
Yes.
I didn't know that's what it was. But I was like, who's that? Who did that song? I like that sound. That time I'm like, SG, Bebe Cool, Chameleon. Who? Then I go on a show with them and I'm like, their show used to be hyped. Chameleon, Baggy. I'm like, who are these guys, man? My song was a bit more calm.
Yeah.
Megarider. I'm like, I need a song that has energy. Who are they? They're called Ogopa DJs. Okay, I want to find them. So I went looking for them. So I met Lucas Bikeno.
Yes.
Lucas never shows emotion.
Yes.
He's like, I'm like, hey, I'm Nameless. He's like, yeah, I didn't make a night. I'm like, nigga, what? Like, yeah, show a bit of, And so we started working, and I did, the first song I did there was Majitu. I was like, I want to do a song, about, Majitu, sinister song. Iligonga ukuta. Guys are like, what is that?
Failure number 1.
Yeah. There were some fails, and I'm like, why didn't guys like that song? Like, I thought they would like that whole sinister vibe. I used to like Undertaker, just like...
Yeah.
Guys are like, what are you trying to do, So I kind of like reevaluated and said, maybe guys just want nice, simple stuff. Dance. So I did Nameless. So it was more dance and vibey, but it was more vibe music. Yeah, not concept music.
Right.
It was like, just... Kama umezaliwa Afrika, lazima ujua kukatika. It's time to shake your booty out like you're in my video. I am losing my mind when you shake your booty.
Are those are the lines Wahu fell for? Like that.
Imagine, man, say, babe. I'm like, Ikisha box, man, say, So guys were like, yeah, that's what we kind of like, simple vibes like that. So I'm like, okay, I see what you want. So that was kind of like, when you say design thinking, you're looking and saying, what are guys vibing to?
Yeah.
So you fail something and then you learn from it and be okay. Yeah, so those are kind of like my beginning journey of trying to understand what's this pop? What do guys like? And what do they like from me?
Yeah.
That's different. Because at that time, Kalamashaka, hardcore
Oh,
rap.
yes, they were.
Yeah, but Tough City, Maisha Ukodini, you know. But they had their own audience. And I wanted to be like them, but I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I'm trying, bro. I'm trying, and my raps are not coming out the same way. So I like, find your lane, bro, you know.
Yeah.
So I kind of found my lane in a way that mine was more vibe music. Mine was more feel good. You know, by the time I was doing in a no key, it was more like, that you feel like removing your underwear. Now that's the podcast. I'm like, yeah, remove your underwear. Like, really? I know, right? But I was like, I wanted guys to forget their problems when they're listening to the music. Yeah, they're not there to come and now analyze why they have struggles. They're more like, sahau shida zako when you're singing these songs. So that became kind of like my mission. Yeah, make you just transport you to a place where you just have a good time.
Right.
And then you'll go back on Monday to deal with your problems.
Yeah. But in the meantime, in the club on Saturday night.
Let's have a good time.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then your sound flipped. There must have been something that happened in between doing that.
So I went to know Nina Noki. That was the height of my career.
Yeah.
Like honestly, 2004, 2005, I was just finishing my degree. And I actually made a decision like, it was started like a joke, but this can be a career.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, you're a musician. You might be a part-time architect, but bro, like everyone has shown you that this is what we want from you. And I got a lot of fulfillment from it.
Yeah.
So I, started it, pushed it as that, looked at it as a profession, tried to, now think deeper into it. But after 1 year or two of that, by 2005, I got married. That was also a big part of my life. I was like, I think I'm ready to get married. But after I got married, I felt like my shine went down. Yeah. Okay. I don't blame my wife, but
this is very important to say. Otherwise, tonight you might be sleeping on the couch.
I know. I mean, I know how to live, man. The 25 years, the battles to fight. You need to be wise in this. No, anyway. Yeah, so it kind of dipped because I think the sound, guys had gotten used to that initial sound that had come with, Gopa. So, yeah, it kind of like dipped and I didn't even understand what was happening. I was like, why are guys not feeling me the way they would feel me before? But what it was the audience was calling for a reinvention. How can you reinvent in a way that we can create new excitement? I noticed my rate card was going too low. Whatever I was demanding for, guys aren't willing to pay. So it has to go low. And I'm like, this is too low. What is happening? So I kind of remember feeling kind of depressed also, becoming very unsure because for some point I was very sure. I'm like, not to a hit. Hot stepper hit. Like I'm just like juju, hit.
Everything,
deadly. Chop out, you're like, your confidence is built. So you're like, now I'm there.
Yeah.
Then you're like, no, it's not happening the way you want. So chuck something, doesn't hit, what. I remember he chucked a song with Nyashinsky and it didn't really become as big. But that was during the time I was trying to find my footing.
Yeah. So
that kind of gave me a bit of stress, quite a bit of stress. For about a year or two after I got married, I was like, what is not happening?
Right.
Has my career ended? And I was so excited about it. But of course, it was a reinvention that was being needed from me. So I went to see many different producers and be like, I just want a new sound, a new vibe. They would find it hard because everyone is a pioneer.
Yeah.
Everyone is new. So they don't know what to give you. They don't know how to help you. So they give you what you already have. You're like, no, I'm looking for something different. So RK was one who played for me by mistake a track.
What do you mean by mistake?
He was just showing me like tracks and then he played one. And he said, so that's for my album, which is like my last song. I'm trying to think what song to write. Then I'm like, let me hear that song. Let me hear that. And I'm like, it's like, you like that? I'm like, yeah. What's that? Zouk. I think I can do that. But it's like, but your music is high energy. I'm like, no. And that's how Sincere came up. I just went home. I wrote that song in like 2 hours. I'm like, bro, I found my reinvention. I sent it to Ogopa, who had moved out of the camp, but were still friends, which is also an important thing to keep not burning bridges.
Yeah.
So he listened and said, you know what? I think this is your reinvention song. So when he did it, we did the video, released it, it took me up again. And I was like, oh, Now I'm back up again. Yeah. So now I understood from that experience that, these careers have also, the kind of like patterns where you come up, you go down, you come up. You just have to find how to reinvent yourself.
Right.
Which I define as changing without changing. So you change something, but you still retain something that people still feel this is still nameless. Yeah.
So, I mean, and this is replicated. Doesn't matter whether you're in employment or whether you're in business or whether you're a creativepreneur like you are.
Exactly. Yeah. You begin to realize that in all careers, there's a time, even in podcasting, you do something over some time, you now know, okay, I need to do something else to change.
Yeah.
But there's something I still need to keep because that's what makes me and unique. Nice to find what that is, and you begin to realize also then there's another pattern where, you a certain age, things change at a certain point, there are new people coming up. What does that do to you? You start getting insecure. Mbona unapenda huyo badala mimi? You realize it happens. You have to have new blood. So how do you survive with the new blood but still have yours? And you just age like fine wine. How do you do that?
Yes.
In whichever profession you are, even in your relationship, I realized, even with us, with wifey, you realize that for the long haul, you have to be reinventing yourself as a person. And that's when I realized growth mindset is so important, especially when we approach our 40s. Anyone who's in their 40s know you start questioning a lot. And then you find things about yourself and about life that you had to find out the hard way.
Yes.
Yeah, you had to find out the hard way. So I'm also big on that you have to keep, there's some to be a level of growth individually so that it helps you in the relationship. You can't just be the same consistently. Unaweza bo mtu. Unaweza boyana. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, that's a very interesting direction you've taken this interview because you have said, several times, you need to keep reinventing. So how has that manifested for you in your marriage? Because I know you're a huge believer in self-care.
Yes.
And sort of putting yourself first, so to speak. Not to put your family last, but you do need to fill your own cup before you can fill someone else's.
Yeah.
So what happened to bring you back?
It's because people shouldn't confuse self-love and selfishness. Yeah. I think those are things that confuse people because someone may end up becoming selfish thinking that's self-love. And it's just, I think self-love, I would say, is self-awareness. The more you understand yourself, the more you're a better person to yourself and to others. The less you understand yourself, you'll be bad to yourself and to others. And to increase your self-awareness, you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
You can't, you like, for example, right now, I can't tell whether my do-rag is, I need to rely on you to tell me, brah.
You're okay. Yeah. Just FYI.
Just FYI. Or if I have something in my back, I need someone else. And that's blind spots. So for me, I don't know if it's either by personality or the fact that I was a last born, I've never had a problem with looking for help or to get feedback. Even in my architecture, they trained us to learn how to deal with, it was called a crit, right? So you have a crit where you design something, people come and chambua and say, that's not cool. So you learn how to be like, he's saying that so that I improve.
Yeah.
He's not saying that to put me down. So that kind of made me be very open to listen to perspectives that are not the same as mine, because it will make me see something I may not have seen before. So pretty early in my marriage, we started going for counseling. When you're like, man, when I got married, man, the first 1 year, 2 years, I made a mistake, man. So what the hell? I had just gotten pregnant. So combine that with hormones, expectations, everything at the same time. Career, in a deep. Unaangalia mtu nasema wewe, and so I went for counseling with her pretty early. By the second year, I was already there thinking, I don't know, maybe I made the wrong choice. And the counselor, I remember the first thing he said is, even your body language tells me you guys love each other.
Okay.
And I was like, he says, yeah, those issues you have, it's normal. It's like, for real? It's like, no, it's not even possible for it to be perfect. So that changed my perspective. So I stopped looking at having issues as a negative thing. It's just an unresolved thing.
Right.
So that for me, I thank God I went pretty early, because even when we would have major issues, I would just, in the bottom of my mind, know it's just an unresolved thing. I don't have the solution yet, but I'll find it at some point. And I'll go back for more information. But what that would do, it would force me to know myself more.
Right.
And even her. Yeah, but so in our 30s, I know there was a lot of trying to understand. Is it my expectations that are too high? Is it you who's not understanding? There's a lot of pull and back, and your careers are over here, your children are over there. You know, there are too many things pulling you up and about that that constrain a relationship without tools. So I would notice it everywhere. I turned around, we're gonna stress. So like, have we all been set up? Like, why? Like, what's going on here? You know?
Yeah.
And as I told you, I have pattern recognition. So I'm like, oh, there's something off here. Okay, where is the problem? So I started looking to try and understand. Has society not got this right? I'm like, yeah, society hasn't got it right. They've created rules, but they don't have the tools. They've not given the tools, but they've created rules. So I keep saying, yeah, society's rules with no tools. So you have to find your own tools.
That's a good line. You should put that in a song.
In a song, yeah? Rules with no tools. Yeah, so you have to have the humility to find the right tools. And with humility comes compassion. You're like, oh, wow, I can kind of see your perspective as well. And you need a support team. So for me, I say, what I've done, because of all those struggles, ups and downs, at times you look at each other like, what are you doing in my life? It's normal. Even in my music career, my relationship, and even my own self-growth, I have a very interesting, now this is now in my 40s that I've really now become very conscious about it, is I have like a board. And this board, they don't even know they're my board.
Oh, okay. Where who are they and how do they exist?
They're just people around me that I end up talking to a lot, and kind of give me perspective that make me make a decision as like the CEO or the chairman of the board, right? So I'll have, my siblings are pretty strong in terms of this. They're all my older siblings, so I value their opinion, and we kind of come from the same family, so we have similar values. So they give me, without them knowing or them knowing, they give me a lot of perspective. And I have a few friends who give me also, because they know me as a person since I was in my 20s or something. So they're guys I like this guy is very objective. He's kind of like me and all. I like this guy, he's not like me and all. So every time I'm having to have a major decision and I'm struggling with something, I'll have that. And then I have my life coach, my therapist. They're also in the board without them knowing.
Wow.
My psychologist, you know. And that side is more the science-based side, because they've studied something that gives me now more proper data, you get? And then the friends are more like they know me and they care about me, so they give me some level of perspective. Then I am very introspective myself, so I question a lot. Every time I come out of a situation, or I think I'll go back and be like, you know, what did I do right or wrong and what? So I saw that as also a good thing, because it helps me check and say, okay, ulichoma. Okay, hapo ulichoma. Hapo, yeah, alichoma.
Yeah.
So I always see my contribution because that's the one I can handle. So, but that has happened a lot more in my 40s, because even in our relationship, when we're struggling a lot, we had to take like a, wait, you know, like, is there something that we're not getting right?
Yeah.
You know, and a step back from the relationship. And it was kind of lucky that we both kind of felt it at the same time, because we're kind of like similar in age, that we're like, wait, It's just something we're not getting right here. You know, are we meant to be or not? You know, yeah.
Okay.
So that was a major turning point, just as we were approaching 40. And it's basically midlife without knowing it was basically midlife. And some relationships break.
Yeah.
And some relationships become
stronger.
So I think ours were lucky it became stronger because we took, you know, there were moments of issues, moved out of home a bit, you know.
Wait,
it wasn't moved out to some level.
Okay.
To be able to kind of like step back.
Okay.
You get? And it was so funny because even if I did that, it wasn't as acrimonious to the point that it wasn't, you know, it wasn't as dramatic. But I felt it came at the right time. You get? It came at a time that we could focus on looking at, you know, of course you have those moments you move out a bit, but you're in an angry state of mind, and angry, or you're focusing on another person. The person is G, what, so you go with your boys, these women. This one was different. This one was like, wait, let me step away. Let me just reflect on me and her, you know, reflect on her. And we did it in a very, I feel now and I look back, pretty mature way.
Yeah.
And it forced us to focus on our own issues. So
right.
It was not like you, it was more like, hey, if this thing is to end, I have to be with me only.
Yeah.
So I need to focus on me. And even Ash is like, if this is to end, then it's me. So I can't be focusing on that. And that was the paradigm shift that really, I think, helped us. Because now it was more about checking yourself, not focusing on the other person's issues.
So I have a question about this taking an actual physical break from your spouse. Because usually when the conversation comes up, what a wife hears is, this guy wants, you know, to go out, get a through pass to play away games. Yeah. So how did you handle it in a mature manner?
It was, we didn't define it as a break. We didn't define it as a separation.
Yeah.
It was like a timeout. Like,
okay.
Yo. And that's why I say, I think it was a very healthy time. Lucky enough, it was a very mature, like, I really need to introspect. And I need to introspect away from just the pressure of our relationship and the pressure of the public and the pressure of family. I need to find a very clever way to stop focusing on me. So it was even more mental than it was physical. You get?
Yeah.
So we could even be in the same house. We could even be doing the same project, but we are at that point checking ourselves and saying, this could end and it could be okay.
Okay.
And that's a very interesting mindset. This could end and it could be okay.
Because in a way that gives you freedom to be more in the relationship, I sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That was like, for me, a big thing. Like, that it could be okay. And don't be here because of fear of the unknown. Be here because you've chosen to be here.
Right.
So it wasn't something I was going to televise. I didn't want to be messed with what. It wasn't a through pass kind of scenario. Hey, now I can. No, that it was a level of mature. Like, listen, man, we are reaching halfway of our lives, man. It needs to make sense. Yeah, if it doesn't make sense, then, you know. And I don't have beef with you.
Yeah,
you're actually a good person, but are you a good person for me? Am I a good person for you, or not? You know. So for me, that paradigm shift of it could end and it could be okay. That paradigm shift of, let me focus on my issues, let me not keep seeing your issues, luckily was the right basis to have that kind of timeout, kind of, where you're now checking. So now that's when I started getting into books like 7 Habits. And I read it like, whoa, this is so interesting. Could the problem just be tools?
Right.
Yeah. Is it just tools? Like, I think it's tools. Okay. I think we're trying to pull some rules up here, but with just the wrong tools. And the tools are given to you through religion, through tradition, through culture, through what. And sometimes they are not the right tools. So you're forced your own introspection with your own, a bit of guidance and coaching to find the right tools. So both of us would meet again and we're looking at each other differently, like, maybe it's the tools.
Right.
Maybe I need to focus on my growth and my issues. So slowly by slowly, even mentally, we started now analyzing things in a way that I remember the decision to say we want to do this was more not forced, not out of fear, but out of I choose to. But I choose to if we're entering based on a growth mindset.
Right.
So it was and she also kind of was like, yeah, I'm also in that same mindset where I'm just like, during this self-reflection, I've realized I got issues. Yeah, I got issues and I also need to check them. And I was like, phew, yeah, we are lucky because sometimes one person realizes, the other one doesn't.
Yeah.
It ends.
Yeah.
Sometimes you both don't realize, you just don't help. Sometimes both of you just are like, I don't need you. Yeah, so those moments of actually it could end and it could be okay, your relationships run a risk of ending or restarting.
Right.
So and then just after 2-3 years of now getting into that, analyzing, and now having a new mindset, COVID comes in. Perfect time. Because now it comes in when we're already in that mindset.
Yes.
I think if it came in before, we'd be like those couples you hear man say, "Walinyongana manze."
Yeah, sadly. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been not the right environment, but lucky for us, we'd already crossed that to a point that now we are actually together, now chilling together when we're now growing together, analyzing things together, and then you find you can be together and you can even give each other space.
Yeah.
Which is also very important in a relationship. You don't have to be in each other's. You can you just know this is an individual who has his own growth and what. So you're in the same space, but you can also give each other. But you have to be very, very secure in yourself. So we had to grow in terms of our security, our self-security. And it's a continuous process. You even realize there are stages that people tell you, even this stage today, we're saying how even in your 70s, you find a new stage of you just look at life differently. And it starts making sense. As I say, pattern recognition, it starts making sense why the brain has to keep.
Yeah.
That's the only way we evolve. You live, you analyze, you see, you understand some things about life, you teach the younger guys, they come, they learn something new, then you keep evolving.
And so it goes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've said something in the past about outcomes and how it's important not to be attached to them. And it's interesting because listening to your relationship with Wahu, it's like you're not attached to being together forever. And because you're not attached, therefore...
Then you're more free to be together for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not, and I try to do that with my kids as well. I'm just like, be ready for anything. It's just to develop the character that can handle anything. Yeah, you can handle not having babies.
Yeah.
And you're okay. Even if everyone around you has a baby, maybe you can't have babies. Maybe you don't want to have babies. Maybe you don't want to get married. Maybe you want to get married. It's the character that's more important than just doing things because others are doing it, and knowing how to find purpose in any outcome. So you failed. How do I change this into a purpose? This failure had a purpose, and it can help me and others. So I feel like when you have that mindset, then you can almost handle almost anything.
Yeah.
I say almost anything because you always have to leave that space of, I still have something to learn. I can't be like,
true.
I'm always like, I feel I can, but I'm open to say, wow, I never saw that coming. Yeah, because I keep getting shocked when I think, I've thought of everything, and then
boom, something else.
I never saw that. Okay, so there's something new I need to learn, So failures and mistakes have, I realize in retrospect that in growing up, I think society, life, what made me really fear failing. I hated the feeling of failure and mistakes. But over time, And what life has taught me is you have to embrace it. And
True.
it's and they say it, and it's actually true. It's part of growth. That there's no way you can, like, bro, like, I can't cheat you. Like, even when I was trying to win the competition, I thank God. I don't even know what mindset I had at that point. I was ready to fail, and I swear I would never have made that call if I wasn't ready to fail.
Right.
And I look back and I'm like, if I didn't make that call, I would never have been nameless.
Yeah.
It was just at that point I said, it's okay. If you don't win and you embarrass yourself, just make the call.
Yeah.
The only thing I did was like, but you call yourself nameless so that if you fail, no one knows who it was. You get? So I had a kind of, you can't totally feel zero.
Yeah.
You can't totally, courage, they say, is not the absence of fear. It's just knowing how to deal with the fear of it. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. Because I'll be like, how is that person fearless? They're not fearless. They have a fear, but they've known how to deal with their fear. They're, okay, so I'm not a punk. You get? So I kind of now understand that fear is part of your DNA. And it's there for a reason. In fact, if you're totally fearless, it's dangerous.
Right.
You're going to die very soon. So fear, anxiety is actually, it's put in the DNA for a reason. It's part of evolution. You're supposed to be anxious about something when you're not sure.
Okay.
It's actually a survival instinct. So it's just now how to have it in a healthy way.
Right.
That I'm in that mode of fear, in a healthy fear. Your ego has to be healthy. Ego is part of your protecting yourself.
Yes.
But now if you don't know how to do it the right way, you become selfish. So all these things now, I'm like, it's my relationship with failure that I introduced, my relationship with anxiety that I have to be, it's okay. My anxiety has helped me also survive, you know, and help. Yeah, but so I shouldn't look at it negative. I just look at it at how do I make sure it's in the zone of healthy. Yeah, and it's a growth, because your brain has had a very negative attitude towards it for so many years. How do you now relearn and adjust it to be able to have a healthy amount of fear, healthy amount of optimism, healthy.
Yes.
We're over-optimistic is dangerous.
Yes.
Healthy amount of pragmatism. Like, I'm so interested in the healthy zone. And even when I go for coaching and therapy, they talk about the healthy zone. And you're like, oh, that makes sense. They're all in us for a reason. Yeah, they're not there by mistake. They're not there negatively.
Yeah.
It's just us finding out how to use them. Yeah.
So, final question.
Yeah.
Have you achieved Ikigai?
Ikigai.
Yeah.
Tunaongea Japanese. Guys are like, what is Ikigai? Ikigai, I once heard about Ikigai when I was in the board of Prisk and went for a leadership course.
Yeah.
And they said, there's this thing about living your life fulfilled. And is if you do 4 things, if you do what you love, do what you're good at, find a way to have impact to society, and find a way to earn from it. It's like if you achieve all those 4, your life, you feel very fulfilled. It's one of the best ways to feel successful in life. And I was like, that's so awesome. I was like, where's that from? It's a philosophy from Ikigai. I'm like, what's Ikigai? Why did I know about this? You know, and I'm like, that's why you need to be exposed to more cultures and what, because you can find something you resonate with that your culture was not exposing you to.
True.
I always tell guys, sometimes we're put in a certain meaning that you always feel, that's why I tell you, some things just feel, why am I resonating with this? Why am I resonating with this? Because I was born in maybe an environment that wasn't resonating with my inner, So when I saw that, I was like, I like it. So it began to be something I'm always looking for and I'm always striving to do. So I feel like I'm within that zone and it's what guides me. So it's consistent. It's not like, I'm always like, am I doing what I love? Am I doing what I'm good at in my career, in my music? Then there are different aspects. It's just not your talent. It's also your gifts. There's some things you're like, I'm gifted in looking at things like this. So I realize one of my gifts is just, I'm a diplomat. So any space I get into, I try to make people see each other's points of view. And I love, when I'm doing it, I love it because I know I'm like, ikigai. You know, these guys are clashing. I'm like, yo, but can't you see that's the side? Yeah, but you know, okay. And hey, can't you see this side? Yeah. Yeah. Then I'm like, I know this is what my creator gave me. And I don't have to work hard at it. So put a bit of that. And then what do I love doing? Creating. So I'm like, oh, I'm still creating. In whichever form I'm doing stuff, I'm creating. So that's aligning to my ikigai. So make sure there's always a moment you're creating something that people can consume and enjoy and have a good time. Then I have to be strategic so that I'm also earning from all these things that I'm doing, you know. So I'm always like in my career, I'm like, okay, what's new? What are the revenue streams here? How can I ensure that I'm also still earning? Because I have to eat. My kids have to eat. And then finally, impact. I call it impact. So every time someone comes and tells me, I watched this show, your reality show, man, it really changed something in how I look at stuff. I'm like, ikigai. Oh, your music really made me do this and I did this. Or your performance. I remember someone saying, Manze, your performance at Black and Wine was therapy for me. I was like, what? Like, man, it took me back to when I was a teenager and it did this to me. Yeah. So I'm always very aware of that. Like, are you doing that? And that's one of my belief systems, that if I achieve that, then I'm playing in a zone of living a fulfilled life. Because I'm not very religious, I'm more spiritual. So those are some of my guiding principles of my decision making. And so I feel like I'm striving, always striving. Am I fully there yet? I can never say I'm fully there yet. Right. But that's my guiding principle. Okay. And I love that guidance. It makes sense to me.
Wow. Design thinking and ikigai. I never thought I'd see the two of them come together in a concept so properly.
Oh, I love that.
My goodness. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time and for such a sparkling interview.
For real, yeah.
All of you who want to follow Monski, Nameless, aka David Mazenge, tafuta him on social media. You will find him, I promise you.
Nameless Kenya, simple. I'm nameless and I'm in Kenya. Like, yeah. Right. And thanks for having me. I think it's for me, when I understood the concept, when you told me the concept about that, of your relationship with failure, I was like, yes. Yeah. These are the kind of things that need to be taught. Our culture, unfortunately, doesn't teach it well. Yeah. So that's your ikigai as well, you know, where you're like, you know, creating impact, where there are going to be so many people who are going to watch and be like, thank you. That's what I needed to hear. That's what's been limiting me. I've been having a negative attitude towards how I failed, or I'm too defensive about failing. Don't be defensive. Be like, okay, it's okay. It doesn't define me. Yes, indeed. It's just a failure that gives me an opportunity to learn. Yeah. So that's why I was very happy to be here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for your kind words, right?
I appreciate it, man.
We look forward to extending this conversation at some point in the near future. And meanwhile, for all of you, we shall see you next week for another one just like this one. You know, it's interesting, that relationship between design thinking and ikigai. Because if you do put the human being that you're serving at the center of the service you're providing, and it is a service you enjoy providing.
Yeah, so there's a way you're earning. Yes. Because you're looking at it as a business as well. Yeah. A market, and then you're also serving them, and they're getting value, making sure they're getting value from what you're doing. You're like, okay, I'm actually hitting two at one, you know? So yeah, do you also practice it, or do you like think about it a lot?
No, I strive to attain ikigai every day. Yeah. It's the design thinking part that has me stumped a little bit. So.
Oh yeah? And when did you know about ikigai, by the way?
Oh my God, it's been years.
Oh yeah.
It's been maybe about 5-6 years.
Oh, nice.
The first heard of a concept. So,
nice. And I'm noticing you're not kunyuing. You know me, I'm just enjoying this chai. And I was asking you, because I saw them somewhere, this tea. I was like, I'm so curious to know, like, because I'm a tea guy. Meaning to chai. And I know there's an age you reach. Nipe chai. Utakunywa nini mzee? Chai.
This is Montini's. So I've got green tea. It's a specialty tea, apparently. Oh, yeah? I've got green tea here, and I've got oolong tea. What do you have?
This is purple tea. And yeah, oh, this is the green tea you're saying, and black tea. Yeah, so mine is, I think I'm taking the purple tea.
Wow.
This one has the purple tea, yeah.
And purple tea is really good, with, you know, with antioxidant levels. It's really high in them.
Oh, yeah? It's just good for my health?
It's good for old people like us.
Yeah, I told you, man, that this is the age where you have to think about what you're eating. And you have to do your few kilometers per day. So I was like, I'm walking to the venue. I'm like, you know, I'm wearing the right shoes for that, you know. I mean, you reach an age you realize you have to take care of what you're eating, how you're living and all that. So so it's good to know that this one is not tea bags. This one's you
have to steep them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I'm going with one, right?
Oh, of course.
Or two.
It's our gift to you.
I can't be over here enjoying this tea and then you don't give me. Like, Montanis. Oh, this is nice, man. Ladies, and where can I get them?
Yes, you can find them online.
Online, eh?
Yeah. So follow them. Follow Montini's Tea on Instagram and on Facebook.
Nice. Thanks, man. So it was really nice. I've had a good time. It's been a therapy session as well.
Oh, karibu sana. That has been such a fun conversation.
Yeah, that was really awesome. Thanks again.